So from July of 1988, I had been tantraed a nun. My first instructor was the habit itself. The habit itself taught me how to be until I was actually formally in a community. The decision to become a pastoral counselor, of course, has some background to it. First of all, my father was an Episcopal priest. My mother was a clinical psychologist. So I grew up with both of those genes, you could say. And of course, Mom didn't practice on family. You don't, but her presence as someone that you would want to just sit with and be with, I think, was one of her greatest gifts. And I certainly treasure, she's still living, thank God, still living and in very good health. But growing up, I treasure those moments when I could just have her to myself and chat about anything. It was more about presence. So she taught me about the ministry of presence. My dad taught me about the beauty of liturgy. So moving forward into my adult years, I was both baptized into the Orthodox faith in 1988 on Lazarus Saturday in a very, very cold, icy stream in Northern California. And then the opportunity came in July of that same year to take an icon class, my first formal icon class, and that put me a reasonable drive from my cathedral, and I expressed to my bishop at that time the interest in becoming a nun, so I was tantraed on that same trip that I took my first icon class. So from July of 1988, I had been tantraed a nun. My first instructor was the habit itself. The habit itself taught me how to be until I was actually formally in a community. In 2002, my father died very suddenly. He had been in good health. He was 91 years old. He had been in very good health. So when I say someone dies unexpectedly in their 90s, that may be a surprise, but he died of a heart attack, and that was that. So it was a shock to me. It was difficult to me because he and I were very close. My spiritual father let me come for some retreat time after that. So I went to Kansas City with now Father Alexei, then Father Paisius, stayed with him, had liturgy every morning. We had some pastoral counseling sessions every week, a couple every week. And at the end of that time, he said to me, "Many people are hurting. Prepare yourself to help them." And so that led to my seeking to enroll in a school. Now, the context of that remark itself, I suppose, could be taken many ways, but the context of it was that Abbess Bridget was in the process of getting a degree in social work, and he also enrolled in a course of social work in the fall session of 2002, I believe. So I looked at programs. This was a case where God guided me through my ignorance. I thought that without a bachelor's in social work, I wouldn't be able to get a master's in social work, so I went looking for a different degree, and I ended up in a degree program for pastoral care and counseling, under the strength of his saying, "Many people are hurting, prepare yourself to help." I was very fortunate that there was a school with that degree just 4 miles from my monastery. So I didn't have to travel. And it also was a seminary. was a Protestant seminary where I was able to study biblical Greek. So that was what drew me to that particular school, that particular degree program. And so, although it wasn't an Orthodox program, every topic that we studied, whether it was like abnormal psychology or whatever it was, we had to do some papers on how would a certain diagnosis, how would a certain life circumstance affect a person's faith. So I always did that from an Orthodox point of view. Whether I was studying theology, anything, I always studied harder so that I could get Orthodox writings in addition to what was required on the syllabus. And I can't say that I converted any professors, but I certainly did my best to give them a reason to respect Orthodoxy if they didn't know much already. And so it was a wonderful journey. They had their own clinic there so that I was able to start counseling still as a student working towards my master's. Started counseling 2 years before I got my degree. Graduated in 2008. Continued in residency there until I had enough hours to sit for my licensure exam, and then started private practice in 2012. So it's been a very blessed journey, not something I would have ever chosen. I guess it chose me. But it's been a very, very blessed journey experience and still unfolding.